Oren, one of our joint favorite sayings is creating a safe to risk environment.
Yes.
And often I wonder if anyone knows what we're talking about. So we've learned a lot of lessons about being able to simplify our messaging to make sure that it's relatable and usable. And
Right.
so to help our viewers out there, can you share with us a very practical example of what safe to risk means, what it means doing as a leader, and what the results of that could look like?
Yeah, and so as you're talking, what came to mind for me is just a personal story of how I lived sort of the first part of my life, and then I can sort of relate that to from a corporate standpoint. But there's a phenomenal book, Carol Dweck, Mindset.
I haven't read it, no.
Have you read that? So basically, it's and I recommend it to anyone. Essentially, she frames it very nicely in that she says there's two types of mindsets. There's a fixed mindset, and then there's and not a fixed mindset, essentially a growth mindset. And the fixed mindset is I'm essentially born with all the attributes and skills and talents, and that's it. I'm fixed. Versus growth is I'm born as a piece of putty and I can become anything I want to be. So it's our principle of everyone can summit, right? So that's more of the growth mindset that I can be. I just got to put in the effort, the deliberate practice, the 10,000 hours. That's the growth mindset. Fixed mindset is no, you're born with it and that's it. And so I was always told as a kid by my parents, and just they mean well, so I don't have any, don't begrudge them for this. But I was always told, oh, you're so smart and you're lucky because otherwise you would be failing because you put in no work. And so essentially what that does is it giving me that label sort of put me in a place where I wasn't safe to risk because I wanted to play it safe, meaning if I put in effort and I didn't do well on a test or an exam, then that would show that I'm not so smart, right? I was much safer to not put in the effort and just barely pass because then that would reinforce that cycle of, oh, you're so smart, you do no work, and you still pass, barely pass. But I would avoid putting in the effort because that was a risk for me. I risked losing that title of being smart because the worst scenario would be I try and I do badly because then I lose that title. And so for me, that's really what defines that safe to risk environment and the opposite and the negative effects of that. And so if I apply that to a corporate setting, so I've stepped in actually to many companies and one of the things that I look at first is the culture, because culture is incredibly important in fostering a growth company, growth mindset. And so if you don't have that fixed safe to risk environment, you got to try and create it. And what it looked like when I stepped into that company was I sat at one of the management meetings and there was a very dominant leader who every idea that brought up, so he had a perspective of how he thought things should look and be and would sort of define that. And if people failed, like if they didn't deliver to that standard, they would just get hammered. They were screaming and shouting and swearing and all that sort of stuff. And people just felt bad because they want to please. But that really stifled that safe to risk environment because it wasn't safe to risk. You were getting hammered for not doing a good job at the stuff that you were told to do. So there's no way you're going to step out and take risks. And as we know, in the world, there's so much innovation has come from people stepping out and trying different things. The old story of how the Post-it note got created, right? It's for a different purpose. And there's thousands of examples of this. And it's all innovation that was spawned out of an environment where somebody took a chance. And so unless you're creating that type of environment, you're not going to foster that type of innovation. So, and especially in today's day and age where the world is changing at such a quick and it's so volatile, nobody knows what the future holds. This safe to risk environment is paramount because nobody knows what the rules are. You can't, we as leaders can't put the rule book in place. There is no rule book. So if you're creating an environment where people are not willing to take a chance because they're just waiting for the rule book and nobody has the rule book, like you're stuck, you're fixed, like it's totally a fixed organization. You're going to fail. There's no doubt about it because you need to go out there, be safe to risk and create a culture where people are able to take risk and learn and don't fear the failure, right? Falling is the advanced skill. So it's fail, learn from that failure and move forward. So that, anyway, it's a long
it's great.
answer to your question. But for me, that's what it really represents. It's so fundamental, that safe to risk culture. And you got to create that. So how does that relate? Does it answer your question? And
it does. And I think if I put myself in one of our community members' shoes, I'm probably thinking, Lara and Oren, you talk about if you want to be able to put on an in-trip in your hat, we spoke a little bit about you've got to be, understand what star performance looks like. So you're contributing to have credibility, to bring different types of ideas and be able to kind of become more of an owner within an organization if your decision's not to step out the company.
Right.
But now we're saying it's safe to risk and you got to just make up new rules. And I think that we should be clear that they both coexist and cohabit.
Right.
It's own your own circumstances, that if you have great ideas, you are the one who needs to bring it to the surface. As a leader, make sure you're creating an environment that facilitates sharing of those ideas. And that's very different to someone who's moaning and complaining that I can't get ahead in my company. And no, I'm not doing my day job to the best of my abilities, but I think I can rewrite the whole business plan. Right. They're not the same scenarios. I just think that's important. No, totally. So safe to risk, we're talking about for sure as a leader, if I'm hearing you, making sure you've got that balanced culture where you encourage folks to bubble up ideas, be innovative, thinking about better practices, better ways. At the same time, when mistakes happen, because falling is an advanced skill, and I've shared a lot of personal trauma where I've sent emails to competitors and all sorts of to this moment, like gut-wrenching scenarios. But you learn from them and how your leadership responds, and I've shared how you did when I was in that scenario, is also a huge loyalty building opportunity where you want to go to battle every day with someone who you know has your back. Right. And so a safe to risk environment actually is the difference between attracting and retaining top talent and not.
Absolutely.
Because it means that if I make a mistake, I know that I'm not going to be basically shoved out to the side. But you'll support me and it will make me want to go do 10x on everything.